Hi everyone. As usual, we are going with AWS Cloud tutorials, and here in this particular video, we will be talking about the transit gateway. Before transit gateway, we have talked about the VPC peering. So correct. So we talked about the VPC peering, and we saw that how two VPC resources, which are the part of two VPC, can communicate with each other and with the secure network. So EC2 one was the part of VPC one, EC2 second was the part of the VPC two, and with the help of VPC peering, they were able to communicate with each other. Correct. Now we will see the concept of transit gateway. But why transit gateway is even in the picture when there was a VPC peering to have the communication between the VPC. So every particular resource has its own limitation, correct? Just like any AWS services or any of the features which comes in your concepts, everything has some limitations, and the next service provides the solution of that particular challenge or the problem, correct? So just think of this. Here we have two VPCs, and we have to make the communication. So what we did, we make establish the communication between these two. Now later on, if my number of VPC increases and I have to create the VPC pairing, correct? So what will we do? So let me go to the next slide, or just suppose I have to go here. I'm just opening a box here. I'll be writing few details just for understanding. So just suppose that we have four VPC, and the name of the VPCs are A, then B, then C, and then D, correct? These are the VPCs. So for this VPC, what will happen? I have to make the connection. I have to establish the connection. So for that, you will have to establish the communication between A to B, then B to, sorry, A to C, because you have to communicate, it's the one-to-one mapping. A to C, then A to D. After that, you will have to make the connection B to C, then B to D, then C to D as well, correct? For the C, VPC as well. Then your VPC peering connection will be established for A to B, A to C, A to D, then B to C, B to D, then C to D. All these four will be able to communicate with each other. So how many number of connection beacons for the VPC peering? 3 plus 2 plus 1, 6. So the formula becomes n cross your n minus 1 divided by 2. That means if you have this 4 minus 1 divided becomes 3 divided by 2, that becomes 1.5. 1.5 into 4, that becomes your 6 number of connections will be there. So it becomes a challenging part to handle all these number of connections in the VPC pairing while we are doing this way, correct? Then your transit gateway comes in the picture. It says that now you don't have to handle this so many number of relations, so many number of connections. You can just simply make one hub, and with the help of that you can create multiple attachments. Like you will be the one having the multiple attachments with the different VPCs. So you can see the diagram here. VPC 1, VPC 2 is there. Sorry, in the VPC, transit gateway concept, VPC 1 is there, VPC 2 is there, and VPC 3 is there, correct? So for that, you have to create one transit gateway. This transit gateway will be associated with all this VPC, and those will be called your transit gateway attachments. So in the broader picture, here you can see transit gateway. This blue part will act as a hub, and these are the VPC, the different VPC, VPC 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then these yellow lines will be called as transit gateway attachment. That means your transit gateway ID, the unique ID, will be associated with all these different VPCs, and this will be called as your transit gateway attachment. So that's the theoretical part, and it provides you the concept. You can attach one or more VPC. It's a transit gateway is a network transit hub used to interconnect virtual private cloud or your on-prem network as well. It's do the route propagation, correct? And the maximum transmission unit is 8500 bytes. So let's directly move to the AWS console and see how it will enable the communication between these three VPC. So just like the VPC pairing, what we had done earlier, we launched two EC2 machines and we established the communication between these two. Here also we will do the same thing. We will be creating three VPC, three route table, three internet gateway, and in all these separate VPC, we will be creating one public EC2 instance in all these three VPC, and then we will create transit gateway attachments, and then we will establish the communication between these three resources. So I will, in this particular video, I will be just covering the concept of one, and then I will replicate the same infrastructure for the VPC2 and VPC3. For that, I will stop the video and I will resume again because it will save the time, correct, for you. Because I have to replicate the same IGW route table, VPC1, public subnet, AC2. So let's start with the demos. So here we have the option to create the VPC. I'm just giving the name VPC1 and then CIDR 10.0.0.0./16. Then nothing else. I will just copy the name VPC1, or let me go with the create VPC. For this VPC1, I will have to create the route tables as well. So let me create one route table. This one I will call as route VPC1. Select a VPC. VPC1 I have selected. Create route table. Then according to the diagram, where is the I have created one VPC, one route table. Then I have to create the public subnet, and for the public subnet, to make your subnet public, as we know, we will have to create the internet gateway, and we will have to mention this IGW in the route. Then your subnet will become the public subnet. So let's create one subnet, and then we will create one IGW, and then we will modify the route. So let me get to this subnet creation. Create subnet. Select a VPC, VPC1. CIDR, I will just copy this 10.0/16. And here in the CIDR, I will pass the same detail, but with the limited IP address /16 with the place, it becomes 24, so that we will have 256 number of IP address. Subnet name, I will just mark it as subnet VPC1, or let's add here public subnet as well. Public subnet VPC1. Preference availability zone for availability zone will be AP South 1A. That's it. We do have the VPC, we do have the CIDR, we have the subnet name, availability zone, and address of a CIDR block for that. Let's click on the create subnet. Subnet has been created. Now let's create internet gateway. Let me give the name IGW VPC1. It's in detached mode as usual. So we will have to attach this internet gateway to any of the VPC. So we do have the VPC1. We will associate this IGW with VPC1 as per the diagram. It needs to be associated with the VPC, and then we will map this to route table so that your subnet can communicate with your route table, your internet gateway, correct? So let me see. It needs to be associated with the IGW so that your subnet can use the internet. So let's attach this to the VPC, attach to VPC, and if with which VPC? So VPC1. Attach internet gateway. This one has been attached. Now let's get into the route table. We do have the one route table created, route VPC1. Let's get into the subnet association. Edit subnet, public subnet VPC1. Save association, that is. Then we will have to edit the routes, and here we will be adding 0.0 as a CIDR so that any request can come to the internet. And then we will select the internet gateway, and in the IGW, I will pass the IGW VPC1. Save changes. Now your subnet which is associated in this route table has become the public one according to your routes, correct? So what we have covered till now, we have covered created route table, VPC, IGW, public subnet. Then we will have to launch to EC2 instance, correct? So EC2 instance I will be launching later on, but before that I will be replicating the same infra except the EC2 for VPC2 and VPC3 as well, correct? So I'm just stopping this video, and I will replicate this infrastructure, and once again I will resume Once my these two VPCs are ready, then we will launch three EC2 instances and then transit gateway concept. Back to the video. So I have replicated the same infrastructure for VPC1, VPC2, VPC3, route table IGW, public subnets. All these have been created. Now we will be launching three EC2 instances and then we will create the transit gateway and the attachments. So let's start with launching three EC2 instances here. And meanwhile, let me create the transit gateway as well. And then furthermore, we will create the transit gateway attachment because the transit gateway takes 1 or 2 minutes. Meanwhile, we will be launching EC2 instance. So right now there is no transit gateway. Let's click on the create transit gateway. And here I will just give the name TGW VPC demo TGW. Correct. This transit gateway will make the communication between these three VPC. So I'm just giving the name demo TGW. Correct. Description, I'm just keeping it as a demo. You can put it or whatever you want. And then I'm going with the by defaults configuration, create transit gateway. The time it will take from state pending to available, we will create the EC2 and then we will create the transit gateway attachments. Correct. So according to the diagram, transit gateway we have to create that we have created. It's been created and then we will create the transit gateway attachments furthermore. But before that, I'm just going to create these three EC2 instances. So let's click on the launch instance. EC2 VPC1. That will be my name for the server t2.micro. And the key pair I will be creating key VPC1 or let me call it as a simple VPC1. Create key pair VPC1. Then in the VPC1 I will have to save. Click on the edit for the network configuration. Select the VPC1. Subnet we do have only one that's why it has been already selected. Auto ascend public IP, yes, enable. Security group we will have to create. So let me create one security group that we will call as EC2 SG and PC1. Description, let me keep it the same, and the security group we will add HTTP because we will see the custom message as well at the public IP. So let me add the HTTP and the source type will be anywhere. And then we will use this user data. In the user data, we'll pass the script what I do have, which we will see the custom message based on the public IP. So let me copy that user data. And with the help of that, we will kind of verify whether all the GC2 instances are able to communicate with each other or not, correct? So that kind of configuration a status check we will do. So let me copy this script, paste it over here. Welcome to VPC1 that I will put as a custom message here. VPC1 EC2 instance. Just copy so that we will utilize for further EC2 instances. Launch. Click on the instance. It's pending. Let me click on the other EC2 instance creation. EC2 VPC2. That will be my name. Amazon Linux t2.micro. Keep here. Once again, I will create another one. And that I will call as VPC2. Create keep here. Save. Edit. VPC will be VPC2. Subnet auto assign public IP enable. Security group I will create once again new one. EC2 SG VPC2. Security group will be added with the port 80 and type protocol as HTTP. Source type anywhere and the user data will be same with the different message. Welcome to VPC2 EC2 instance. Click on the launch. The moment it will be launched, we will create the third one as well in the third VPC. And then we will go to the transit gateway attachment creation. So first is running, second is being running. Let's get to the third one. EC2 VPC3. Amazon Linux T2.micro. Keep here once again. I will create the new one. VPC 3. We are just making one pattern. VPC 3. Network configuration. Okay, let me save it. Edit. VPC 3. We will be selecting as a part of VPC public subnet VPC 3 because we do have only one subnet. Auto assign public IP. We will do the enable because we want public IP address. Security group. Once again, we will create one. EC2 SG VPC 3. And we will add one more security group rule here as usual. So go with the HTTP protocol, ST port and source as a anywhere. And the custom message will be welcome to VPC 3 EC2 instance. So let's mark it as VPC 3 EC2 instance. And I hope we enable this public IP. Yes. Click on launch. We will see the custom message as well, which should be available here. So let me open up this EC2 instance in a different tab. And this first one is here. Click on the open address. Let me remove this HTTPS. Welcome to VPC 1. Then it should print this second one, EC2 VPC 3. Okay. This one will print welcome to VPC 3. Let me go in the browser. Let me remove HTTP. Okay, the meanwhile it's taking time. Let me launch the second one as well. Welcome to VPC EC2 instance. Welcome to VPC 3 EC2 instance. So all these instances were working fine, correct? So now what we have achieved, we have created three public EC2 instances which have the three different messages. We have the transit gateway, we have all the infrastructure. Now we have to establish the communication between transit gateway to this VPC. Then we will see the communication between these three servers as well. So let me go to this. Let me create your transit gateway attachments now. Transit gateway attachments. Let's create TGW VPC 1. Which transit gateway ID? Demo TGW, VPC type, VPC ID. This one will be for the VPC 1. We do have only one subnet. That's why it's only one subnet is being populated. If you create multiple subnets, it will populate multiple subnets as well. And that will make your systems highly available, episode 1, B and C, correct? So right now we are creating with only one subnet. Create transit gateway attachment. Then let's create for the second and third as well. TGW VPC 2. Switch transit gateway. The time of TGW. Attachment type is VPC, VPC ID, VPC 2. And let's create transit gateway attachment. Then let's create the third one as well. TGW VPC 3. Transit gateway ID, that is demo TGW, and attachment type VPC, VPC ID, VPC 3. Create transit gateway attachments. So three attachments we have created with three VPC. Now we will have to modify the routes as well. Just like the internet gateway, when we had to use this internet gateway, we configured in the route tables. Now we have to establish the communication between these VPC. So we will have to give the CIDR of this VPC in the route table, and then we will mark it that you have to route the traffic with the help of transit gateway. But where can your traffic can go? That can go to this second VPC, third VPC. So we will have to give the destination of this VPC CIDR in the route tables and then transit gateway ID. So the meanwhile, your transit gateway attachments are being enabled, coming to the available state. Let's modify the route as well. So route VPC 1. Here I will mark edit routes. Click on the edit route and the destination what we had passed for that our different VPCs, correct? If you remember. So let me open the VPC section. Click on the VPCs. Here you can see these are the CIDR for the different VPC. So I'm just giving this VPC 2 and VPC 3 CIDR in the routes. So let me add the CIDR 11.0. And here in the options, you see the transit gateway option. Then transit gateway attachment ID, TGW VPC 1. correct? Let's do the save changes. Before that, I can give the configuration for the third VPC as well. 11.0 and then 12.0/16. Let's give that as well. The transit gateway and the TGW ID 12.0/16. Save changes. Let's get into the second route. Do the subnet association. Add route 12.0/16. Transit gateway ID, and add one more as well. The third one will be become your 10.0/16. That is our first VPC. Correct, 10.0/16. So we are just trying to make the communication between these three. So in the first, I pass the CIDR of second and third. In the second, I will be passing the CIDR of third and first. In the third, I will pass the CIDR of first and second. So that I'm doing. Here, transit gateway ID, and then save changes. Now let me get into the third one. Here also I will do the edit routes, add route, and then we will do the, sorry, 12.0. It's already there. So I have to pass the 10.0 and 11.0. This is the third VPC. Transit gateway ID, save changes. Oh, sorry, I have to add one more route. 11.0. And then your transit gateway, save changes. I'm just stopping for 1 second. Back to the video. Back to the video. So we have configured the routes as well. We have configured the infrastructure as well. So we have the EC2 running in all these three VPC. We have created the transit gateway attachment for all these three VPC, VPC 1, 2, and 3. We have configured the route tables as well for the transit gateway attachments. We have mapped the transit route to VPC CIDR of second and third in first, the first and third in the second, and the second and third, sorry, first and second in third route table, correct? Now we have to check the communication between these three with the help of the private IP address of this EC2 instances, correct? So let me get into the CMD and we will establish the SSH connection, and then we will see the communication between these two with the help of private IP address, correct? This transit gateway IP, transit gateway IP pairing, all these gives the secure communication with the help of private IP. Let me do the CD downloads, SSH-I, and the key pair we have created as VPC1.pam, then ec2-user at the rate, and then the IP address of first instance ec2 VPC1. Let me go there, copy, do the yes. Your first server is connected. Now let me do the duplicate as well, and let me do one more duplicate here. So here also we will connect the second and third SSH. So let me just copy the command itself, and then I will change them, do the modification. CD downloads. I will just copy VPC2.pam EC2 user and the IP address of second EC2 instance. This becomes 13.234. Yes. So your second server is connected. Now let's get into the third one. CD downloads. Oh, sorry. The command I will have to copy, or let me do, yeah, let me copy that command. Control C, Control V, and then it will become the VPC3.pam, what we have created for all these three EC2 instances. We have three keep here, and then the IP address of third instance EC2 VPC3. Here I have to change the IP address. Yes. Okay. So you can see our first EC2 instance is connected here 10.0.1.0.4. Then second one is connected 11.0.1.0.7, and then third one is connected 12.0.153.94. On these three servers, we will check the communication between these three. So let's do the curl, and then the IP private IP address of second and third one, correct? So let me pick the private IP of second, AC2 AC2 BPC2 second one. Let me go there. Let's do the curl. Let me open it up. Curl. You can see welcome to VPC AC2 instance, correct? Let's do the private IP of third one. Curl AC2 BPC3, correct? This is the third instance. Let's do the curl. You can see welcome to VPC3 EC2 instance. So VPC1 is able to communicate with VPC2 and 3, correct? The resources which are part of the VPC1, they are able to communicate with VPC2 and VPC3 as well. Now let's do the same thing. Curl 12.0. This is the VPC3, correct? Let's communicate on the VPC 2, correct? So let's copy. This is the EC2 instance which is part of VPC2 11.0, correct? Let's do the curl. This is the private IP address of third EC2 instance which is the part of VPC3. Let's do the curl. You can see the message, we will come to VPC3 EC2 instance. Now let's do the curl and the IP address of EC2 instance 1 which is the part of VPC1. Welcome to VPC1 should be there. Welcome to VPC1 EC2 instance. So VPC2 is able to communicate with 1 and 3, correct? Now let's do the curl on the third VPC, and there we will do the on the VPC 1 and 2. So curl third VPC EC2 instance is communicating with VPC 1 EC2 instance, correct? Then all we have to check it for the VPC. This is third VPC. So VPC 1 and then VPC 2. So curl and the EC2 instance private IP for the VPC 2, correct? So let's go into the CMD once again. You can see VPC 1 and 2, correct? So now your VPC 3 resources are able to communicate with VPC 1 and 2 resources as well. So with the help of Transit Gateway, what we achieved, we have created one Transit Gateway, and this Transit Gateway can help us to create the attachment with different VPC. So the number of VPC increases, the number of attachments increases in parallel, but it did not get into much complexity. While your VPC pairing just multiply the number of connection. Here you can see, correct? If you have the 4 VPC, it becomes 4 star 4 minus 1 divided by 2, 6 number of IP addresses. So the number of VPC increases because it's one-to-one communication, correct? You have to map your all VPC one-to-one. Here in the VPC transit gateway, you have to create one transit gateway which will act as a hub, and then you can create one attachment with all the VPC. So I hope you liked the video. You learned a few new topics here in this video. We will come with another topic in another video. So thank you till the time. Bye bye. If you like such videos, try to subscribe and share these videos with your friends. Thank you.